Sam, Basel, the Alpine Legacy team, Estes Park. Welcome to the show.
Outstanding. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us. We've been hunting you down for a while.
Yeah.
We discovered you from your YouTube channel, which is outstanding. And I want to point out one thing for everybody watching this show, this podcast. You have a YouTube video that is 13 years old on there. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Back then I was more dabbling in YouTube, really not focused on any kind of, strategy or any of the marketing tactics that are out there and popular today, but just putting out something interesting. Was that the coyote video that you saw, or was that a different one?
You know what? I turned it on. I listened to it. It had like the piano music playing, and the graphics looked a little bit from 10 years ago.
Sure.
But I was just impressed with what made you think. I mean, you were first to the game. I don't know anybody who got into the game. You had to be one of the first few on YouTube back 13 years ago.
Yeah, it was just a toy I was playing with. It really wasn't a defined strategy or anything that I really pulled out of any real traffic or buyers or sellers, but I did get some attention and have seen some attention on some of those original videos over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at the comments, and it was like, one of the comments was, "This home is no longer available." And I'm like, guys, come on, man. It's been 13 years. Like, the home was probably sold 3 times. So I thought that was pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So you've been a real estate agent in Estes Park.
Yep.
You are, according to our research, you are the guy in Estes Park for detail. We look at details, we look at history, we look at experience, we look at reviews, and you checked all the boxes up there. So
Outstanding.
My assistant said, call this guy, try to get him on your show. This is a guy you want to know and talk to. So thank you for being with us today and for sharing your insight.
My pleasure.
And tell me a little bit about your business, a little bit about your background in real estate.
Sure. Well, yeah, my background over the last 21 years is pretty diverse. So I've always been up in Estes Park. I've always focused my real estate. My entire career has been up there. Started out as a personal assistant, and another couple of friends that I knew started their own company, invited me to come help them launch that. So I launched a small independent company, launched my own small independent company myself a few years later. And then eventually joined a larger company, eXp Realty, and very happy with that transition. I've been with them for the last 4 years. So I've really run the gamut from personal assistant all the way to team leader, to solo practitioner, to all sorts of different variables within the real estate industry, but it's always been focused on the properties in and around Estes Park and the type of buyer and seller that is typical up there. And that's the second home buyer, the people that are thinking about retiring, looking for a legacy property in the mountains. Hence the name of my team, Alpine Legacy. So, yeah.
I was gonna. You actually took me right to my next question, and I'm thinking you must attract all kinds of buyers, tourists, locals, on the seasonal. You were talking that you deal with a lot of second home
Correct
clients. Tell me about your typical clientele. Obviously, you attract everything up there.
Yeah, typically we work a lot with buyers who are thinking about retiring at some time in the future. They're thinking about, hey, their kids are getting older, their kids are going off to college or have gone off to college and are having kids. They're looking for that mountain property to gather and then also to possibly retire in the future. That's really a common storyline that I get quite often. A lot of times the people have visited Estes Park over the years, maybe had family gatherings, family reunions, or maybe grandma had a cabin up in the mountains, and always good memories of coming into the park or coming into the town and just seeing the mountains in the background and just being awestruck. And someday I want to live here or spend more time here. So it's such a common
It's
story.
easy to feel. Yeah, it's easy to feel that way. You had a recent video of a home, 1850 something. It's one of your most recent videos. And I looked at the images of the house, which was awesome looking.
Yeah.
But I really saw the view where they had the telescope. I could see out that window a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thought, dude, who wakes up every day and has that view where you can see wildlife? I mean, who knows how far you can see out that window, but man, the views are just incredible.
Yeah. I've got a couple of great ones right now. 2 of them that happen to have telescopes. So I'm not sure exactly which one you're talking about, but there's one on the edge of Lake Estes that is a historical old property built in 1938, which happens to be a few years before the lake was even there. So it's a really fun story to tell on the edge of town there. I also have a more modern one that was just built, I guess, about 20 years ago, but has a perfect mountain lodge, family home feel to it with great views and a lot of privacy too. So you get a good blend of properties, but really everywhere you look in Estes Park has great views. So how's it?
Do you typically work more with buyers or sellers, or just whatever comes to you?
Personally, it's about 60-40. I work with sellers as a primary target for myself. I do work with a fair amount of buyers though, and that fluctuates from year to year, but predominantly 60-40 to sellers.
How would you say the market is right now by you? Now I'm a little further south of you. I'm in Fort Collins, Windsor area. Would you say, do you feel like we're still still kind of a buyer's market, or what are you seeing up there?
So traditionally, it was always talked about as 6 months worth of inventory being the tipping point between a seller's market and a buyer's market. In Estes Park, we are just under that. So technically, it's still a seller's market. However, with the speed of the market and how the market has changed since COVID, really these last 5 years, it was so accelerated and so fast and so furious that as we've gone from 1 month of inventory or less to 6 months of inventory at times, it has felt even worse. Even though the numbers say it's a seller's market, it definitely feels like a buyer's market. So
Yeah.
right now, I'd say the time on the market has gone up quite a bit over the last year to 2 years.
Yeah. What are your average days right now? What are you seeing?
Yeah, average time on the market before an offer is presented is about 60 to 90 days. And then you still have that time period between offer to close. So we're looking at, 90 days typically to get a transaction closed from the day it goes on the market.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm hearing the 60 to 90 day number in most of our tourist areas of Colorado. It seems like. Let's talk about what would surprise some people about Estes Park. Now, for myself, Estes Park is a place where we go to on the weekends, on a Saturday. It's really cool. You got the strip, you got all these, the downtown area with all these cool little shops. And that's the typical perspective for people like myself who come up there. But I know there's a lot more to Estes Park. Let's start with, what are some misconceptions that buyers need to know about when it comes to Estes Park? I'm kind of throwing a curveball at you here, but.
Love it. Yeah. So a couple things. The first thing that comes to mind is weather. We're in the mountains. We're at 7,500 feet of elevation. So typically people lump us in with all the ski resorts that are so popular in the news. But our weather is actually more similar to the Front Range from Fort Collins to Denver than it is to the ski resorts. In January and February, our average high temperature is over freezing. It's closer to 40 degrees than you'd expect it to be. So a lot of people that come from the Midwest or even come from, the South think that we have a very different winter experience than we do. So our 300 days of sunshine keeps the snow off the roads. The town does a great job at plowing, actually better in Estes Park with snow removal than most of the Front Range communities. So do a really good job with our weather in the winter.
So you get a lot of clients who want the beautiful mountains and the beautiful air and the beautiful scenery, but not necessarily, we don't really need to be near the ski resorts. We want it all, but we don't need that.
Correct.
I didn't realize the climate difference there. And I guess that makes total sense to me because every time I go up there, it's sunny and perfect.
Yeah, sunny and perfect.
Temperature.
It's actually one of the craziest things is the blue sky. The difference in the blue sky is actually very defined. You leave Fort Collins and you're heading up the hill and increase in elevation at 2,500 feet, and the sky is just naturally bluer to the eye than it is down in the Front Range. So it may be of, a clear day, but once you get to Estes Park, it's like boom, in your face, really blue.
So the sky actually looks bluer up there.
Yep.
That 2,500 difference in elevation.
Yep. Yeah, you can take a photo down the Front Range in same settings, take a photo up in Estes Park and compare the blue, and they're different.
Interesting.
Yep.
What are you from Estes Park originally?
No, I grew up in Wisconsin actually, and came to Colorado in 2002. Eau Claire area, northwestern.
Okay. Sure. I actually grew up in Wisconsin as well.
Nice.
Southeast. I don't know. Did we talk? I don't think we talked about
We haven't
this.
talked about
I'm from
this.
Southeast.
Okay.
You're from the more beautiful country.
Yes.
And so I suppose moving to Estes was kind of like not exactly similar, but still beautiful.
Yeah.
You had the more rolling hills in, I think, Eau Claire, La Crosse area. But how long ago did you move to Estes Park?
That was in 2002. So fresh out of college, my wife and I moved up to Estes Park, fell into the resort community. That was kind of my background in college. from resorts to vacation homes to my real estate license to the rest is history type of thing.
That's interesting. Everybody that I meet who's a real estate agent, all the best ones and all the most experienced ones that I've talked to, they're not from Colorado. I haven't met one who's excuse me. I haven't met one who's local from here who just kills it in the real estate scene. But like yourself, sure enough, you're from Wisconsin, and another guy is from New York. I met in Breckenridge, fantastic agent down there. And he's like, I thought he was for sure from Colorado because he knew everything about Breckenridge. And he's like, no, I'm from New York.
Nice.
So
my first introduction to Estes Park was actually being a tour guide up there. It was a fantastic way to get connected to the community, and then also use that every time I take buyers out on tours. Like, well, that's where, that's this mountain and that's that mountain.
You have a little tour with your new buyers, kind of give them the tour when you meet them?
Well, it's great filler content. Anytime there's a lull in conversation, it's like, okay, we're passing by this old house where this settler was, and this is one of the original areas of town, and this is when the lake came into being in our history, and the Stanley Hotel and the Stanley Brothers and how they influenced the history of Estes Park and the tourism base and all sorts of fun things that come out of just random conversations depending on where we are in town.
Yeah, wow, that's just a perfect segue to my next question, which was, what are some hidden gems in Estes Park? You mentioned a few in there, but I've been to the Stanley, which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
A lot of history there, really interesting experiences there. What are some hidden gems that you would advise people coming to Estes Park to see or check out?
Hidden gems, I'd say, well, tied into the name, the Gem Lake Trail, I think, is an outstanding trail on the north side of Estes Park that you don't have to deal with all the traffic and all the big crowds that go into the main areas of the park. It's also a part of town that typically, if there's an afternoon rain shower, for some reason, the Gem Lake Trailhead doesn't get as much of that.
Interesting.
Patterns over time I've seen that stays out of the rain. So that's a nice little hidden gem for hiking trails. I get up to Gem Lake. It's about 1,000 feet of elevation above the town, and the views are spectacular the whole way. So it's a great hike. Just be ready for a few stairs, a few big steps towards the end. Get a good thigh burn at the end.
What about wildlife? I mean, every time I go up there, it's crazy. Are you just used to wildlife? Is that just like seeing a cat or a dog? I mean, we see some, that's pretty awesome, the wildlife scene up there.
We see just, in the Midwest growing up, you'd see squirrels in everybody's front yard from tree to tree. That's how our elk are. They're just like squirrels. They're common. They come up to, in your yard and meander through. They just happen to be a lot heavier than squirrels are.
And what do you do when that happens? Because tourists think they're cute and they maybe go up to them or try some funny. What's the advice there for people when they see these massive animals in their front yard just eating a bush?
Yeah, definitely give them their distance. They are unpredictable wild animals and can and have hurt many tourists in Estes Park just by people not paying attention to what they're doing. They seem very docile, but if they become aggressive, they can be very aggressive.
So just let them kind of be, and then if you have to walk by them, just walk by them, but don't approach them.
Make a lot of noise. Sometimes they'll move out of the way anyway. They'll stand up and look at you like, what's going on? Do I need to be aware of what's going on? It's when the babies are around, or that the cow elk will be aggressive, or in the fall time during the rut, you definitely don't want to be approaching any of the bull because you don't want to be around bulls in the rut.
Yep, I would imagine so. Question: what separates you from the other agents? Because there's a few agents up there. I know that it's a popular, everybody goes to visit and says, I want to sell these beautiful homes. It's obvious.
Yeah.
You've withstood the time. You're going on over, you're over a decade. I mean, you've been in there a long time.
I'm pushing 2 decades now.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say 2 decades. Yeah. What separates you from your competitor?
Yeah, I'd have to say it comes down to my tagline is helping people make wise real estate decisions. That's been my tagline since I opened up my own company in 2011, and it's held true. Each word in that phrase is important to me, and I think it's what sets me apart is, I can crunch the numbers just like anybody else. I have the marketing that can promote it like anybody else, but I'm there to help people, and I want to connect with people and help them have a great experience of buying a home in the mountains and carrying their legacy forward. That's what we're all there for, is to experience amazing things with amazing people they love.
What's beautiful about that is it's so simple. It's so to the point, but it's such a mission statement for you as well.
Exactly. Correct.
If our decision here to make this video or incorporate this process doesn't help our clients make wise decisions, it doesn't go.
You got it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a mission statement. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to leave your contact information up here. You are available for buyers and sellers. And I also realize you're all over the place. You're not just in Estes Park, you're in the surrounding area.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about that. How far north, south, east, west? How far will you go?
Yeah, I think I'd say my expertise really covers anything in the mountains west of Fort Collins and Loveland, and dabbling a little bit into Boulder County towards Longmont, but not too far. That just gets out of my expertise a little bit and what I pay attention to. So basically west of I-25 up into the Continental Divide.
Gotcha. Man, you seem really knowledgeable. And I just want to keep talking to you because you said you were a tour guide. You got these numbers. I love chatting with people who are experts in areas. It's nice to
We
have
could
you
keep
around.
going if you want.
Well, I got to edit this thing down, so we'll do it again
Sounds
if you're
good.
free.
Sure.
Because I'd love to do a regular revisit on the market and just kind of check with you again in a quarter or whatever, and just see how things are. Let's just say I want to buy something up in your area, or maybe I want to list a home. But easiest way to get a hold of you, pick up the phone or go to the website, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I've got everything funneled through my website, AlpineLegacy.com. And my cell phone as well is a great spot. Text messages anytime. If I'm not available, I probably won't answer my phone, but text message will always go through. So 970-215-0759.
Sam Basel, man, really appreciate you. And I will be in touch, and I'll get this video. I'll get you some copies of it, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Outstanding. Thanks a lot, Tim.